Right now, WWE's biggest problem is Vince McMahon. It's not like the whole thing is bad as a whole. Vince McMahon gets in the way of a lot of stuff. NXT is still an overall better brand, better than the main product and better than some of the indies out there.
Well, how do you feel about this Triple H thing? I mean,
I feel like he's tired of it. He's tired of Vince McMahon like killing his product. Because now I mean, we've been talking about it. The last few weeks of NXT has been like, well, what the hell is going on? What's the structure? Where are we going with these
it's
stories?
chaotic, and I feel like that's not so much of their fault as
Yeah,
opposed we don't want to start something and then it gets hot, and because those guys are hot and the ratings are down on the main roster, oh, pull them, because at the end of the day, he being Vince can pull anybody he so chooses at any point in time. So it really fucks up a story, or it fucks up an angle when you're seeing a guy and then all of a sudden it's like, well, fuck, I'm seeing him now in another angle with somebody else on the main roster or another. It's too much going on. It's not. Now they're grabbing at straws. They're panicking,
yeah,
I think, to a degree because of the AEW shit. But then at the same time, well, fuck, you need to book. You
yes,
go back to wrestling. If
and
you
it needs to make sense.
got guys and you want them to you want people to buy into what you're trying to push, stop putting them against each other every week.
Yeah,
Hell, if I want Seth Rollins and Baron Corbin to be something, it takes anticipation. I have to anticipate what a match between Baron Corbin
yeah.
and Seth Rollins is going to be like. Now,
They're not gonna
granted,
touch to
a
the pay per view.
between Baron Corbin and anybody is probably toilet match and nothing more. But fuck, if I had Baron Corbin and Seth Rollins just talking about how they're gonna beat each other but never touching, leading into a matchup at a pay per view, more people are going to buy because they're not really seeing them. The formula is simple. If you just stick to what made wrestling great and stop fucking with it, you don't have to worry about this. But the issue is, I've seen Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns go at it so many times that by the time you want me to believe that it's something big, I no
Yeah,
longer feel that because I've seen too much of it. Am I making sense?
yeah. Especially since those two guys don't have a huge move set, so whatever the match you get, you're gonna get the same match over
Right.
and over again.
It feels almost to a degree like it's like that with everybody. I saw too much of Becky and Ronda and Charlotte
And
bleeding
Charlie, yeah,
you, getting into it and physically touching, and there wasn't enough promo and segments and things like that made me anticipate the match because you could kind of tell what the fuck was happening because they always ran into each other.
yeah,
It no sense, and I think that that's the issue here. Now at NXT, they do a wonderful job of that. You don't really know where they're going with an angle until maybe a month into, like a couple weeks or a month leading into Takeover. There's a build up there, so
right.
I anticipate the matchup going in. I anticipated Velveteen Dream and Tommaso, because going into that match, all you seen was a lot of promo, and you would see a slap here, which was out of the ordinary, or you see this, there was a lot going on in that. Aleister Black and Gargano with the whole parking lot incident. They never touched.
Right.
They
I
never
mean,
touched.
even if you want to talk about recently with Velveteen Dream and Matt Riddle, they only had like 2 or 3 weeks to build that, and they did a great job with what they had.
Right.
So
I mean,
it's all about the build up. Everything NXT does is with the purpose. Everyone stays true to
so
their character, to the story. With WWE, everything changes on the fly.
yeah, there's no set plan for anything. Anything. You just I mean, and Triple H, I don't know if you remember, but we did a show a while back, and I don't know if it was on the show or what happened. I really don't know, but I know that I said something. I don't. It might have been when we were talking, and it's bothering me because I can't remember. I said if there's going to be a wrestling war this time, this was the right guy for the war, and he had the right pieces at the time that the first one had.
Hmm.
If this actually were to turn into one now, Triple H is now that guy. He has
Yes.
vision. He has a modern idea. He knows how to find people. He relates to talent. They relate to him. And
Mm-hmm.
what so much more special, he was living in that time that was a golden era. He lived the attitude era. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, he did. He
So
was the attitude era. Yeah.
he's the guy and the visionary for this particular war. He would know what to do. Vince can't be that guy now. It's different. You went
Yeah.
through Vince then went through his fair share with the NWA and AWA and WCW and East, whoever you want to call. He went through it already. He was the right guy at that time. This is different. It's time to step back. But until he does that, I don't think they're ever going to get to a point. You're gonna have to. They're trying to remake wrestling, and you just can't. It
Mm-hmm.
is what it is. You find two or three or four guys, you put them together. They got something special going on, and you just pray off of that. Hell, if you put them in a match, let it end in a no contest, and it's chaotic. I don't know if you remember, but there was this whole thing between Bret Hart and Stone Cold Steve Austin. Do you remember that
Oh
angle?
yes, I remember that. That's one of
How,
my favorite feuds.
how good was that angle?
It
They,
was great.
there were promos, there were vignettes, there was a lot of back and forth, and you anticipated what the hell's gonna happen when these guys actually get in the ring with each other. Same thing with Austin and The Rock. There was the beer truck. Yeah, that was a segment, or whatever. Or The Rock with his one of his tremendous promos, or when they had the fight and The Rock threw the belts off the bridge. There was so much going on. They that's all it takes. They're trying to reinvent, and I feel like they overdid it because I blew you away with this. So now if I have to try to find another way to blow you away, just go back to the basics.
Right. Right. Keep it simple. Make a story that makes sense. Think of like you're having a show. Like some of these shows, these hit shows, how they last more than 2 seasons is their storytelling, how it's consistent, how it goes somewhere, how it can swerve people at any moment.
And, and
Wrestling is too predictable now.
And some of the blame got to go to the fans because some of us want instant gratification. Oh well, fuck, this is taking too long. A lot of us don't. The casual fan doesn't want to sit through a slow build. Or I want to see this already. I know I'm guilty of it with Bianca Belair. I don't see a vision with them with this. Why hasn't she won the NXT Women's Title yet? She should be champion. But
Mm,
we can also make it hard too. But sometimes, hell, if you, I got frustrated when Gargano couldn't get a win. But then once I started to kind of realize, hey, there's something going on here, you forget all about that. And so I, I'm not gonna lie, I was one of the main ones when even though it wasn't Ciampa, when he fought Adam Cole at the last takeover for the title, I'm like, Johnny will find a way to fuck it up again. And when he won it, it was a state of shock and euphoria because you're like, fuck, he finally did it.
mm,
Even after Undisputed Era had the run out, fuck, he like there weren't run outs the last time out. He
yeah.
just couldn't get it done. But he did it, and it's different because there was a build to it. There was something to be had there, you know.
Right. Right.
That,
It's all
that
about the build.
So yeah, I think sometimes they feel like they have to instantly gratify the fan, but if you're telling a good story, nobody cares how long it's gonna take.
Right. You remember how when they had contract signings back in the day, they would have a clause like you can't touch until pay-per-view. If you
Or
do, you
the
lose
match
it.
is over, you fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I think one of my favorite ones was JBL and John Cena.
Right. Because it added something every week. Because one would do something to the other, to try to make them, well, the heel will try to do
Right.
something to the face to make him, because it wasn't like, that they knew they could beat him. They were intimidated by him. Like, I don't know if I can beat this guy, so I'm gonna do everything I can to get him disqualified and lose his
Cactus Jack
championship.
displayed that like so well,
Right.
so well. Like it's so well. It was a man. you got the network and there's all this footage and all of these things on it. If, is somebody going back watching this shit and saying, "Hey, let's try some of this"? Because I mean, evidently that worked.
I think people are. The one person that's not is the main person that's running it.
Yeah, man.
I mean, it's really a simple fix. It's like make the shit more believable and cut down your roster. You got too many fucking people. You got like there's unnecessary segments on Raw.
But why would I cut my roster down? That means I give talent to somebody else, to the competition. They're hoarding talent for the sake of hoarding talent. We've
Well, and
discussed.
then they're paying people to stay at home. You're paying people to sit on their ass. People ask for their releases, you don't give it to them, but you also will add if they ask for a release after they came back from an injury, you're gonna add that time back onto their contract and hold them for longer. So it's like it's ridiculous. You're gonna pay people to sit at home and not use them.
Some of this feels like the same shit WCW did before. They
Yeah,
just, and I don't, obviously I don't think that WWE will ever get to the point to where they fail.